Thanks for joining us today. My name is Jen Barba. I'm a part of the admissions team, and it's my pleasure to be here to introduce you to some of our current students and also to my colleague Anna from admissions. My goal today is to, give a quick overview of the program and then really introduce our students and give them a chance to share a little bit about their experience since starting the program back in August, and then answer any questions you all might have. Um, all right. So we always like to kick things off with the mission of the Sloan School, which is to develop principled, innovative leaders who innovate and improve the world with the ideas that they generate and advance management practice with the work that they're doing. Not only are we looking to build the skills and give you the opportunity to put some of these skills into practice as a student, but when you're applying to programs here at Sloan or when you're applying to the Master of Business Analytics program, we're also interested in seeing how you've been able to kind of, live up to some of the components of this mission in your previous work. So you might mention, or you might notice that some of the questions we ask in the application are related to that. In the business analytics program and also among the students we have enrolled here at the Sloan School across all of the programs that we offer, we have a very global community, and it's really important for us to reinforce that and to, demonstrate that to our prospective applicants. We have students coming from all over the globe. Of course, a lot of students coming from North America, but in the business analytics program, about half the students in the program are from outside of the United States, and they've studied, they've worked, they've grown up in lots of different places, and it's really important to us to maintain that global community in the programs that we offer here at Sloan. So as I said, the Master of Business Analytics program, is a unique opportunity to dive into a very rigorous 12-month program that helps you to develop the tools and the skills to, really get access to the latest innovations and modern data science, machine learning, of course, some AI, and really what sets this program apart is how we apply an optimization lens to the traditional methods of data science and machine learning. Maybe our students can talk a little bit about that through some of the courses that they've been taking so far. And then the other, unique aspect of this program is the opportunity to really apply what you're learning through what we call action learning opportunities. And there's two big ones that are related to this program. The first one is a class you have called Analytics Lab, where you team up with a group of students and you work on a live project for a company that's in need of guidance or support for an analytics, type of solution to something. And then, in the spring semester and actually throughout the final 10 weeks of the summer term, you complete a capstone project, which essentially is a team project with two students that, has the oversight of either a PhD student or a faculty member here at Sloan. And you work through this problem with the company throughout the spring semester with the guidance of, our support, while also planning to spend 10 weeks working full time for this project to wrap your program up. It's essentially a guaranteed internship with a company that we partner with. So it's a unique opportunity to really, apply the skills and apply the topics that you've been introduced to through the courses you're taking, and then kind of gain that tangible real world experience that you can then translate into helping you to support your job search after. We have an extensive career support system. We have many, many electives to choose from, and the program is very tightly aligned with the MIT Operations Research Center, which is also a unique opportunity that allows our students to do some research while they're here as well. All right, so the point of today's conversation is really to give all of you a chance to connect with our current students, hear a bit more about their personal experiences. And, I thought maybe we could start out by asking everyone to do a quick introduction. So if you could each tell us a little bit about what you did prior to joining the business analytics program, maybe where you studied, where you came from. If you happen to have any internships or full-time work experience, feel free to mention that. And then we'll kind of talk a little bit about what's happened since starting the program after we complete some intros. So Aya, is it okay if you kick things off?
Of course. Hi, everybody. So my name's Aya. I'm Lebanese, did high school in Lebanon, moved to the US for Virginia Tech undergrad, did my undergrad in industrial and systems engineering. And then after the first year, interned at this company called West Rock in Georgia, Atlanta. And then the year after, interned at Tesla in Fremont, California. And then after graduating, May of 2024, I worked about a year at Rovio. So it was a boutique management consulting firm, and I worked there as a business analyst with a product management focus.
Awesome. Thank you. Jacob.
Hey everyone, my name's Jacob. I'm coming to MIT straight from undergrad. So I graduated last year from Berkeley. Originally, I'm from Southern California, so I've kind of been in California all my life until now. Um, I don't have any full-time work experience, but I did do two internships with a early stage clean energy startup in California.
Awesome. All right, Varden.
Hi everyone, I'm Vardon. I'm also straight from undergrad. I did my undergrad at UT Austin in Texas, also from Dallas. So I've lived most of my life in Texas. Um, I had no full-time experience, but I had previously had internships in power systems consulting.
Okay. And Lottie.
Hi, my name is Lottie. I was born in Germany and grew up in the UK and studied physics at Trinity College Dublin. And then I actually worked for 2 years as a data science analyst for Accenture, mainly in the energy space. Yeah.
All right. All right. Perfect. So I'd like to just also remind our audience that our students have only been here for a few months. They began the program in late August, and they're really, we'll say a quarter, maybe a third of the way through at this point. But, I'm going to ask some questions about, I thought I could kick things off by asking some questions about the orientation program. So, I think a lot of applicants and newly admitted students, they have a bit of anxiety before starting the program. We're bringing together a highly qualified, it's a very selective program, bring these students together. And some of the concerns that I hear is, how collaborative is it? How easy is it to get to know everybody? So, we have a 2 week orientation, about 2 week orientation that we kick things off with. And I like to open it up by asking any of you to kind of comment on a bit about how you experience the orientation.
I can go first.
Okay.
So, right around the beginning of August, you get a schedule basically with the entire 2 weeks laid out for you. So it almost feels like a boot camp, and it's made to bring you guys closer to one another and get to learn everything about each other before you actually start classes. So we have a few sessions where, it's like team building, like activities, getting to know each other, fun facts about yourself. And then we also have trips that are planned. Like we go on a duck tour in Boston on the river. And then we also have like this one place they took us to that was like climbing and stuff like that, which you get to like really bond through because it's a fun experience. Um, and then you get lunch catered, which is nice. But you get to meet everybody, and that's like 2 full weeks of like camp, basically. That's how I describe it.
Yeah, one other thing I'd add, which I thought was really valuable from those 2 weeks, is that the previous MBAn graduates, they had their capstone presentations during that time and their graduation during that time. So we overlapped with them, and it was really helpful to get insights just before we started of their experience and what they recommended, how to deal with the course load and stuff like that. And we also had like a linear algebra review, and they also taught us Julia, which is a programming language I wasn't personally familiar with. So as well as the social side, which I think was so nice to get to bond with everyone, the technical side in those 2 weeks just set us up quite well for the rest of the semester.
Awesome. All right. So the next question is about, the courses and the curriculum this fall. So, what's been kind of an impactful part of the curriculum that you've been experienced so far? Or, what is it that you've learned so far that's kind of changed the way you approach problem solving?
I think For me, one part of the curriculum that I like is the kind of diversity or the breadth of data science that we're learning. Like we have some classes, like our core classes are very technical in a way where we're doing math problems by hand and then we're coding them. But we have different classes like our labs and analytics edge classes and deep learning where we're applying those directly to business problems and we're able to see that the stuff we're learning is actually being applied. So it's been great to kind of get a wide breadth of knowledge in the theoretical side, but also how we can use that, I guess, different framework or different way of thinking to actually apply it to solve and apply to businesses.
Okay, awesome. Um, what's been one of your favorite courses or a great story about a faculty member that you've experienced so far?
I think personally, the class that's like resonates with me the most is optimization methods. I think Dr. like Alex Jacquia is the one of the most enthusiastic professors that you're gonna come across. And like a memory of him that sticks with me is like him rambling on this like integer optimization problem and then him getting lost in his own words because of how excited he was. And then it's like, okay, we have to keep up with what he's saying. But it's a heavy class, but he does a great job explaining it. Or else it would be honestly like too hard to focus. So he does an amazing job.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think a lot of the professors are very good lecturers most of the case. And like something about my undergrad is like sometimes professors would be like really good researchers, but not the best lecturers. But here I feel like everyone's passionate and can break down concepts.
Great. Um, overall, what's something that you've worked on so far that you feel has been able to help you to develop skills to do like meaningful real world work after?
I think one of our most practical courses is Analytics Lab,
Mhm.
where we work in teams of four on a real world problem. And at the beginning of the semester, we basically get matched with a company and they have an issue and we have to solve it. Um, and I think what's been quite interesting, like at the beginning of the semester when we were faced with the problem, I had one way of thinking how to solve it, but I can see how my classes have actually kind of changed my methodology on how to solve those problems. Um, and you can really notice how our approach has changed just from like our notes we'd written at the beginning of the semester. So A Lab is definitely one of my favorite courses. Has changed the way I think, but it's almost all the other courses that have like helped us change in that course.
Awesome. Well, A-Lab was my next topic. So maybe could you share some of the like examples of the companies and the topics of projects that students are working on in A-Lab or Analytics Lab right now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
go ahead, Jacob.
okay. Um, so the company that we're working with is the Boston Public Health Commission, specifically their like homeless shelter division. So what we've been doing is trying to build models that will predict the occupancy of their homeless shelters because they have a lot of issues with too many people coming more than they expected, which kind of can decrease the living conditions. So that's been really great. The company's been awesome to work with. So MIT does a great job of matching with like companies that are passionate about these projects. And in our meetings, they've been very excited about it because this is something new to them. Like they don't have a lot of experience with analytics. So it feels great that we can actually take what we're learning and kind of try and like change an industry or kind of add this knowledge to an industry that previously wasn't really impacting or using analytics that much.
Yeah, for my project, we're working with SAP, and obviously they're German based, so it's interesting working with them overseas. It's really cool working with a company that's, headquartered elsewhere. And we're specifically working on predicting a customer effort score in solving their ticket or cases from an IT perspective, because they want to try and make more informed decision on what actually drives customer satisfaction and what doesn't, and then also predicting their time to resolution of a case. So it's really interesting because we've encountered actual like real life data, and you'll notice that what you experience in the real world, in the practical world, is actually gonna like throw some of the stuff that you thought were basics and we're going to apply no matter what out the window, and you're going to have to use your creativity and say, actually, I know this concept from this class and I'm going to try and alter it to fit this problem. I think that's really important about the A lab.
Yeah, so my A lab is with Gordian, which is a software company that matches like contractors for construction with clients. And so it's pretty similar to Jacob's in that like this is a field or business that doesn't typically use analytics. And so it's nice to be able to incorporate things that like we create a model and it says, projects like this typically are delayed. And then they are actually like, yeah, we've seen this in our experience. So it's like nice to put a mathematical number to that.
Yeah, and then finally, my project is also with a construction company called Suffolk Construction, and we're predicting project delays as well. But something that I've never come across is dealing with scheduling data, and we're basically using scheduling data to predict how delayed the project will be at certain points in time, which was a lot more complex than we initially anticipated, but has made it really interesting.
Awesome. All right. So the next question is around the community. The community within MBAN and then the greater, Sloan and MIT community. Maybe you could try to describe what the community is like. And then with that, is there something that's maybe surprised you or been, really exciting that you've experienced based on, everyone who's in the business analytics class?
I can go first in this. One thing that really surprised me during orientation, we did kind of like a introduction round where everybody got up in front of the whole class and introduced themselves and answered like one of three kind of icebreakery questions. And usually I feel like those are kind of boring and you're just sitting through it. And for this class, like everybody's answer and kind of story that went along with their question was super interesting and like funny in like a like kind of unexpected way. So I feel like that was just a great first impression of like, okay, everyone here is obviously super smart, but also has these great stories and like awesome, like witty kind of personalities that are just really awesome. And yeah, so that was great, especially from the first couple days, and it's only grown since then.
Awesome. I know that one of the things the program director, Michelle Lee, really takes a lot of pride in is bringing these students together and helping you to really bond and, not only get to know each other, but learn to rely on each other as you graduate and kind of go on into your careers. And, one of the components of the program that really helps to create the infrastructure for that is the fall retreat. And maybe someone could comment on what the fall retreat is, kind of what happens, and um, anything else you want to share about it?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. So the fall retreat is like really special. Our whole course goes to New Hampshire, to a lodge, and it's basically a bonding weekend. We have loads of activities. Um, a few of us climbed Mount Washington, a few of us got lost, and it's just a way for everyone in the course to really get to know one another. And I know other programs, even within Sloan, are very envious that we have that as MBANs. I think it's not only the full retreat that brings us close together. We also have a budget to do events together. So we all went ice skating recently. There was a bowling event. Um, we also, as a course, have different teams and different intramural leagues. So I'm in the soccer team, and the basketball team's really active too. Um, I think everyone knows each other very well, which is also super helpful when you're doing like homeworks and stuff because you can rely on your course mates if you're struggling a bit. Um, and it's only been, I think, 2.5, 3 months since we've all been here. It's felt like I know both people very well.
Great. Um, Obviously the curriculum and the community are differentiating factors for the program, but another one is the opportunity for students to do research. Is any chance any of you are doing a research assistant position right now?
Yes, I am.
Can you share a little bit about it?
Yes, so when you first get here, you're probably going to get an email saying that, there's it's time to apply for research, and it's basically one application that gets sent out to whatever professors you're interested in working with. So you just like have your resume and a letter of intent, and then like you rank your favorite professors. Obviously, it's really good to do good research on the professors before applying for a job with them. And then you get called in for interviews. And what's super cool about this research, at least for me, I'm conducting research with Professor Britsimas. And what's super cool about it is that he actually gives you the freedom to do something that you're actually passionate about. You're going to have project options that are more hands-on and more actual like product building. And then you have more, research-based paper writing research opportunities. So it's really up to you. And what I recently found out is that some people actually manage to do RA-ships with not just professors in the ORC or professors that teach you in the MBAn, but you can reach out really to any professor that you're interested in working with. And a lot of them have the budget and the opportunity to let you on their team. So it's been a great experience so far. And obviously it's very rewarding knowing that you're able to apply something beyond just the classroom.
Excellent. Um, And then the last kind of topic I want to touch on before we turn it over to all the Q&A that's getting posted is about career support. So, I recognize and I want our audience to recognize that you're in the early stages of preparing for a job search, but you work closely with kind of a career core component throughout the fall. You work closely with Tracy Wishon and other members of the career development team to help prepare you through resume and LinkedIn support and starting to talk about interviews and case-based interviews and all of the things to help set you up for success to, present your best self as you start to recruit. So could you, or could somebody speak a little bit about how you've, been, coordinating efforts with the Career Development Office?
Yeah, I guess I could go. I think the career resources here, not only just MBAN, but also like Sloan Wide are very good. Like we have a specific website for just learning about different industries, and it'll like connect you to articles like if you want to learn about consulting or if you want to learn about tech and specifically roles within those industries. So like for example, like what a product manager looks like in this industry versus this industry, like what the difference is. And I felt like that to be really helpful for someone who didn't know a lot about this space in general. So yeah, I think it's been a really great help.
What about, have you been involved in any clubs or extracurricular activities that might give you additional exposure to different industries or companies that you might be interested in working with?
So I know Verdon and I attended a product management workshop that's hosted by the Product Management Club, and it was super cool because they had people from Microsoft or Google, correct me, I forget. I think it was Microsoft, but they were great at walking you through their case studies specifically for PM roles, and it was very interactive. So it was cool getting their perspective, and it's honestly it's not just through clubs, but even some of our classes, like our A Lab class brings in professionals who like will walk you through their day to day and what it looks like working in data at these big companies, and it's really good for building connections. So yeah.
Great. All right. So I know we have a bunch of people who are posting questions in the Q&A. Thank you, and please keep it coming. We'll spend the next few minutes trying to go through all these questions. So I see the first one is, what's one unique thing about MIT's MBAN program that you can't find at other analytics or data science programs? So I don't know if you what's something that's unique or something really, different that you've experienced here in comparison to some of the research that you did at other programs you may have applied to?
I think everyone else might agree, but I think the focus on optimization here is what makes MIT very unique, and I think it's very important as well. Um, yeah,
Great. All right. Um, the next one is I'm interested in being a data scientist at a consulting firm after I graduate. May I know if there's any events or activities that can help connect us with professionals or alumni from consulting firms? The simple answer is yes. I don't know if anyone's
Yeah,
experiences it. Okay,
I
yeah.
I can take this one. So I think one really interesting thing is a lot of the alumni who just graduated are now in consulting. I know about 10 of them are working for BCGX. And in the spring, we actually go to New York and do a data science trek as a whole class and visit different companies, of which consulting is a big sector, as well as other sectors. So I think the network you have once you're here is incredible. I chat a lot to a lot of the recent graduates about general advice, career advice, and also classes advice. So I found that really valuable.
Perfect. Um, can you share a little bit more about your experience outside of academics? How are you all spending your time outside of academics? I will also just mention that the academics in the fall semester are quite rigorous, so there might be more free time in the spring, but could you talk a little bit about how you've been spending some of your time outside of class?
I don't mind going again.
Okay.
One thing I've found so great at MIT, which I don't think any other universities in Boston offer, is the MIT Sailing Pavilion. Um, it basically means that anyone who's an MIT student can learn to sail. Like I didn't have much sailing experience beforehand for free, and rent out boats whenever you want. And I spent the months of August, September, and October sailing on the Charles River, which is pretty cool. Um, and there are so many resources in that sailing pavilion. Like it's crazy, and I met a lot of people through sailing. So that was a really fun experience. Unfortunately, it's now closed for the winter, but I'm excited for it to open again in the spring.
Yeah, lots of things to get involved with here. I'll mention, just because you're a student in the business analytics program doesn't mean that you have to stay within MBAn or even stay within Sloan. You have, lots of ways to connect with everything across the institute. MIT has, hundreds of different clubs and conferences and competitions. It's really just about, figuring out how to balance your time. But there are many, many things that are open for you to get involved with. Okay, so the next question is like a combination of an admissions question, but also something that I think that you guys could potentially comment on as well. So it's somebody who doesn't have a traditional STEM background. They have an undergraduate degree in business, and they're wondering, would they be able to handle the curriculum? So my answer to this part is, if you demonstrate to us that you have the capabilities and other components of your application, like tests and experience, and you have taken some classes like linear algebra and done well, then yes, by all means, we certainly admit people with a business background. But maybe our panelists can talk about like the question also goes into how difficult was the interview and the technical questions in the interview, as well as like some of these core classes. Maybe you could talk about the rigor of the program and any kind of advice you would give to applicants in terms of preparing for what the program entails.
Yeah, I can touch on that. So I think it's super important to have a background in linear algebra. You're honestly, that's the first thing they're going to look for. And I do really think it's a prerequisite for this program in general. So even if you're a business student, hopefully you've taken some linear algebra. I think it's important to touch on your optimization, just for the sake of classes. But for the interview process, your probability, stats, linear algebra, I think are the three most important subjects. Everybody's going to get asked different questions. So there's honestly no way to prepare for it or know what you're going to get asked. But just touch up on like these basic like math, probability concepts, because you will be asked for them. And I get why now that I'm in the program, like you need a good, strong foundation in these subjects. to be able to keep up. Now we do have like, the little workshops where they touch upon, your linear algebra skills and teach you optimization for a lot of kids who like haven't had optimization background. Is, it's helpful, but you need to be quick with it and really understand it, or take that extra time to do some studying before getting into the program.
Good advice. Yes. Linear algebra, number one priority. Um, okay, the next question, I'm going to combine a couple different questions into one that I think addresses all of it. Is like if you're an applicant or you're a student who's coming here from outside of Boston, whether it be from another place in the US or even from another country, how have you been able to acclimate and they have some of the questions are asking about securing an internship or securing work experience that hasn't really you haven't had the chance to do that yet, but just talk about relocating to Boston and what it's like.
Yeah, coming from California, still inside the US, but obviously it's getting cold and like the winter is definitely a factor. But like, I mean, it's also a 1 year program. It's going to be fun when it's snowing. So I feel like, and the city of Boston has been great so far. There's been a ton of like things to do in our free time to explore the city. So that's been really awesome. And we've been working with local companies. So that's great for the connections, and there's a lot of great companies in Boston that people end up working for after its proximity to New York, great companies that people go to in New York. So honestly, it's been awesome so far. But yeah, it's also, I've grown up in the US as well. So
Yeah, so as I guess as an international, I actually found it very easy to acclimatize to Boston. I think geographically, where MIT is located in Cambridge, but on the river close to the Boston city center, is probably the best place you could be because you're in this calmer, safe hub just around students. Um, and you have like, I guess, the 80 automatic friends from the course. So in terms of knowing people, that's fine. And then you get to explore Boston by just literally crossing one bridge or more of Cambridge, by going more in the Harvard direction. Um, and I know a few people in our course, including myself, also ran like the Cambridge Half Marathon in October, which was beautiful along the river. And I love running along the Charles. Um, so yeah, I think the city's great. Maybe come back to me in January when it's really cold, but yeah.
There are lots of places in the world it gets cold in the winter. You just need a warm coat and a good pair of boots. Um, in terms of housing, so other common questions are like, how hard was it to find housing? Maybe how many of you or does anyone live on campus? All of you live on campus. Yeah. No, one doesn't. Okay. Tell us a little bit about how hard or how easy was it to find housing?
Yes, so funny enough, I found my apartment on TikTok. Not recommended, but I mean it is recommended if you work with a real estate agent. So I knew the person who posted the video and I was just like keeping track. I think most important thing to know is that you're probably going to see the listings a month out because people move out in August and you have to like move in August. So that's when, apartments start to get posted. And I would highly recommend working with a real estate agent because it can get very chaotic in Boston to find an apartment. And take into account, like how long it is to commute. If you have a car, that's a different um, scenario. But like if you're just walking or biking, it's important to find something at a close proximity from campus.
Agreed. All right. Um, let's see. I know there's a lot of questions being posted about the application process, and I encourage you to come to an upcoming application Q&A or watch our application tips webinar. I really want to focus on, the students for the last couple minutes. Let's see. What are some of the a similar, a sort of an admissions type of question, but some questions about like why you chose a business analytics program versus another type of data science or possibly more technical program. So what led you to choose the MBAn versus some of the other programs that are out there?
Yeah, it being called business analytics should not fool you at all. It is super technical. It is more technical than some data science programs that you're going to find out there. So the reason I applied to this program specifically, and obviously chose it over other business analytics programs I did apply to, was because of how technically rigorous it is. That's what I was looking for at that point in my career. I was looking to get to delve more into technicalities, and that's what it offered. There's course descriptions out there. You can see all the classes that we're taking. It's super interesting to read through them and really understand the difference between this program, what it has to offer, and other business analytics programs, because the other ones are, a lot of them I found to be very surface level. This one is like very technical.
Mhm.
Yeah, something else I find super good about this program is how it's like co-hosted by Sloan and the Operations Research Center. So you can really navigate um, the course in in the direction you want. So if you do an RA-ship, then you're probably more heavily involved within the ORC. Whereas if you want to take some of the best business courses, you have that option as well. So it sets you up to have a very technical foundation, but also be able to work in the real world after.
Awesome. A couple questions about being able to kind of customize some of the electives that you take. So I know the fall semester is primarily core classes, but I think you all attended a session earlier this week about bidding, or maybe it was last week, about getting prepared to, register for classes for the spring. So maybe you could share a little bit about that process and maybe add to that, like not only how the bidding process works, but add to, the ability to really customize your path in the spring semester.
Yeah, so kind of what Lottie was saying, that being in the business school gives us access to a lot of the business classes. So in the fall, we're kind of getting that technical base layer, but then in the spring, it's kind of all about kind of finding what you're passionate about and exploring different things. So I know there's a lot of business classes that are maybe less technical or more product management focused, marketing, systems, operations, that kind of thing. But a lot of people also take classes outside of Sloan if they want to be in the electrical engineering and computer science department and things like that. So it really is nice. We have a super long list of electives that will count for credit. So you can be super flexible, and MBANs get priority one. So it's pretty easy to get the classes that you want, which was not my experience in undergrad. So that's very nice.
And I have to add, we can cross-register at Harvard, so you have access to a lot of really cool classes as well.
Yes. Most students in the business analytics program are able to secure the electives that they're interested in. I rarely hear from someone that is not able to get into the class that they want. Okay, so I know we only have a couple minutes left. I'm going to end with one question I'd like each of you to answer. So it can be, one of two things. So one would be, what's something that surprised you about your experience at Sloan so far? Or what's a piece of advice you'd like to offer to our audience today as they're preparing to submit their application? So either one, something that surprised you or a piece of advice.
I can start with a piece of advice.
Okay.
So what I would recommend you do is stay true to what you're trying to gain out of the program. I think in your application, it's going to be, less of what an undergraduate admission process looks like, and more really where you're at in your career, what you're trying to get out of this program, and how you think that what the skills that you learned are going to contribute to whatever your career path is going to be. You don't have to know what you want to do, but you have to know how to locate your gaps and how you think this program is going to help fill them in. I think that's the most important thing. Be as introspective as possible, and then obviously do your research and come prepared to the interview process.
Let's go next. Something that surprised you or a piece of advice.
I can go next. I think one thing that surprised me about Sloan is how many cool benefits that we get through the Sloan events, like being able to watch like Hamilton at discounted tickets in Boston. That was really cool. Or I missed this event, but a lot of people got Celtics tickets also discounted as well. But yeah, really cool stuff like that. I just did sound therapy yesterday for like Sloan bonus days, and that was a very interesting experience. So yeah.
Great. Yes, our student life team does a great job of um, locating and arranging lots of cool opportunities to bring everyone at Sloan together.
Um, I think something that surprised me, and maybe it's just because I didn't have it, experience that as an undergrad, is um, the effort like TAs also put into your courses. Because we have, I mean, I think most non-internationals will be used to this, but we have like recitations weekly, and it's really helpful to actually then understand the course content. Um, and I feel like there's so much quality teaching time, which I hadn't experienced beforehand, that I also wasn't expecting to the level it's delivered. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Great.
Yeah, and a piece of advice for the application, I would say just especially in the like video and like the personal statement that's not super technical, just try and be as genuine as you can. It's not like all of us, I mean, everyone's very, very smart, but it's not like that's the only thing that we were accepted for. It's like they can see that you're being genuine, that you have a story to tell, which everybody does. So it's just about conveying that. So I would just be as authentic as possible. And if you have like a crazy idea for something, or it's like, oh, maybe that's embarrassing, like you can totally write it. I mean, my stuff was pretty genuine. So, yeah, just don't hide your true self.
Awesome. Great advice. Thank you all so much for sharing with our prospective applicants today. And I really appreciate you dedicating the time to kind of pay it forward and help the next group in line. Thank you, Anna, for helping with all the questions behind the scenes. And thank you all for joining us. We're really excited to get to know you all throughout the application process. We have a final application Q&A coming up. Anna posted the link in the chat, so we hope you can join us for that. And if you can't, no worries. There's lots of information on the website. We have a YouTube channel with lots of pre-recorded events as well. So thanks all for joining us today, and we hope to continue to see you at future events. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.